Hello, hello. How are we doing today? Right, we're going to just get started with a bit of oral test tips. So this is listening for grade 3 to grade 4 to grade 5, all those grades above there. Just do a wee bit of a chat before I get started. When I started the piano channel, I suppose, for Dundee Piano, little did I know that listening tests would become the most popular kind of video. Who knew this would happen? But yeah, literally tens of thousands of people have been viewing these videos for oral test preparation and tips for listening. And it seems like a lot of people struggle with it all over the world, especially further afield. Particularly teaching my own pupils, listening and hearing music seems to be a particular challenge in some cases. Obviously, some people have got really good ears and they can hear what's coming next, or they can work out a tune and sing it back. La, 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 la. So you can hear where the gaps are. It's kind of similar to the other side of things when you're reading from music. You can see where the gaps are. With listening, you can hear where the gaps are, maybe. Or you're working on hearing where the gaps are in terms of pitch and also in terms of rhythm. So you're kind of looking and listening, I suppose, for different gaps in the pitch and rhythm. And you can prepare yourself better for this by, I would suggest, singing along to scales. There's one thing you can do. La 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 la. As you play on the piano. Maybe now if you're playing a flute, it might be tricky to do that. But anything where you can play and sing at the same time, la along to it. Get your ears in shape for what the scale is going to be, and do that on all kinds of scales. So change the scale and sing along to that. Anything that can get your ears working better, okay? So what we're going to have a go at today, we're going to compare and on a guide, I suppose, grade 1 to 3 and then grade 4 and 5, and see what's the same, what's different, and what should you be practicing if you want to get better at this kind of thing. Yeah. Right, so we've already looked at grade 1 and 2 earlier in the week. So with grade 3, you're still doing a bit of clapping. There we go, take notes of these things. Clapping. And you're going to be singing as well. I always have to check to see what it is. I can't remember all these things. Spotting the difference. Spot changes. And then finally, listen closely. All these aspects are involving your ears, okay? And I'll have tips for each one of them. As you go into grade 4 and 5, what are we doing? Grade 4, sing or play from memory a melody played twice. You get 2 shots at listening to that. And that may be singing as well, although you might want to use your instrument. Sing from a score in free time. Okay, so we'll look at a wee bit of that and see how you can improve on that as well. And then finally answer questions. So they kind of only have 3 sections in grade 4. But I suppose the clapping is actually in the last section. So the clapping is included in this part here. So you're still using the same kind of aspects. And you're also free singing from a score. Grade 5 builds on that. And you sing a melody or play it. Okay. You also sing from a score with more complicated melodies. And then you also answer questions about a piece and clap a rhythm. So, and honestly, you're using those 4 types of skills. Let's look at see what we can do with them. So for clapping, there'll usually be a piece and you've got to find the pulse of it, yeah? And you're listening for a 2 or a 3 or a 4 pulse. I think that's all we do at these grades. If I pick one of the grade 4 ones, for example, so you can get involved if you're listening along. See if you can get the pulse of this. It's grade 3. I'm on a different grade here. they're kind of similar each time you're listening. Is it a 3? Is it a 2? Is it a 4? Can you tell the difference? If it's a 2, it's like walking or marching, yeah? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's if it's a 3, it's more like a waltz time, or kind of dance, for example. Let's hear one of those. Exactly. Okay, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Ba, 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 ba. So if you're clapping to that, you'd be a loud, quiet, quiet, loud, soft, soft, loud, soft, soft, loud, soft, soft. You get the idea? And 3/4 time is probably the easiest one to spot because it's different from the others. It's not an even number. There you go. So it's easy to spot a 3/4. Let's hear another 3/4 for an example. Or even a 9/8. That's also a 3. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 2 and a 3 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1. Yeah, it's quite a high speed, that one. But basically, you're listening for the pulse of it. There's a 3. Some of the 4s are harder to spot. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's hard to play all that and sing at the same time. There's a 4. One thing I would say, spot the longer phrases compared to a 2. A 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 will be quite march-like, whereas a 4/4 will tend to have long level pulses. Clapping, I suppose. Let's just have a wee fast forward to grade 5 for the clapping parts. Here's one. So you're listening for the fast parts, the quicker semiquavers, and the kind of slower parts as well. And can you tell by listening to that? And a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and 2 and a 1 and 2. That's a kind of 2/4 time, yeah? It's got a step or a march feel to it. There's a bit of a clapping. Here's another one. We'll find one that's in a different time signature. They're all 2s and 4s, these ones. So here's the melody part to clap along to. Yeah. La 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 la. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you've got a 3/4 there. It's more of a dance sound to it, yeah? So there's your clapping. You're clapping. Regardless of the grade, you're going to be clapping along for short and long in the higher grades. In the lower grades, simply 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's the first one. Right, the singing. This is probably the one that people struggle with the most, I would say. Maybe they're just embarrassed to sing in front of somebody else. I've got over that. I used to be really shy myself, but I've really got over that recently. And I don't mind singing in front of other people. I do it as part of my job now, so I'm not too worried about it. Right, here's one about singing. Here we go. So here's the echoes. In grade 3, you're still similar to grade 1 and 2. So you might have something like la 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 la. So stepping up, big jump. La 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 la. There's a big jump there. Can you hear that? That's a 5th. Yeah, I was just checking. It's a perfect 5th. La 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 la. Now to prepare for that and to get better at that, you want to be practicing singing intervals. La la, la la, la la, la la. What are all those? A 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5 and a 6, maybe, I don't know. Probably 1 to 5 is enough for now. You go, try that in different keys as well. What if we go to A? La, 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 la. La, la. I'm going off key there. But you get the idea. You can actually practice that yourself on lots of different scales. And the better you do it, or the more often you do it, I should say, the better you'll get at it. Because you'll be singing the notes of the scale. And you can practice going further away. La, 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 la. And just practicing singing around different notes of a scale, up and down, roundabout. The rhythms they give you are not very complicated. It might be la 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 la. So it might be short, short, long, or very long, then short. Yeah, they're not going to be really complicated rhythms. You're more looking for the pitch, profile, the melody, the rhythm, and putting them all together. It's really just checking your musical memory if you can hear something and sing it back. And obviously with any skill, the more you can do it, the better you can get. If we fast forward again up to grade 5, what's your singing going to be? There's 2 kinds of singing we do, I suppose. One of them is memory singing, like we just did there. So in this case, in grade 5, it'll be a bit longer. So there are more notes in the phrase, it's a bit longer, there's a bigger range. As with anything, you're developing a bit further. Okay. La 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 la. I missed that. La 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 la. So you're going up a wee bit. I didn't listen closely enough, but you can get better at that also by practicing. La 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 la. I need more practice, obviously. There's plenty of examples on this channel and all around the internet, I'm sure, or from your teacher as well. Here's one. Now there's a big jump. La 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 la. So there's quite a big jump at the start there. La 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 la. And then it goes back, and the rest of that is all kind of steps. La 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 la. There's another big jump at the end. That's a sixth actually. La la la. And then you come back to an earlier note. So with the singing back, again, the more you can practice it, the better. Even tunes that you know, if you can play. La 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 la. That's a good tune for putting intervals in. La 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 la. There's an octave. La 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 la. There's a second. There's a big gap as well. La 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 la. So it's a dead easy tune to sing along. Everybody knows. Find some other tunes you know and sing along to them. Give yourself just the starting note. La 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 la. And then play it and see if you got the right pitch, for example. That's a way of putting it around the other way. Just little tips for trying things out. Okay, so there's your listening and singing. At grade 4 or 5, you also sing from a score. Okay, and this will just be a series of notes where, example-wise, it's literally a series of notes. They're in a particular key, and they always start and finish on the key note. Whichever one you pick, you're always starting and finishing on the key note. And you're going around that key note, up or down a couple of steps, and then back to the key note at the end. So I guess singing along with scales will help your ears with that, because you know where we're going back to. If I pick This is a D major. So if I'm familiar with la 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 la, I think that's about all the range that I need. Probably even less than that actually. But if you can sing a fifth above and a fifth below. So that's moving. Might not even need to go that far. So your four notes up and down. La 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 la. So you can work up and down from the keynote. That's D major, for example. Pick another one yourself. What about C major? La 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 la. That's a good little one to practice. Going up and down steps of the major scale. I think they're all major at this stage. Yeah, you're not going into minors yet. Although you might as well practice minors while you're there. But the idea is to be familiar with how far away those notes are. So when you're presented with a sheet of music, you can go, okay, we're starting on a D, la la la. So you'll be la 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 la. So you can pitch it and be like, oh, it's that next one. And you're working out relative to each other how far away they are. Yeah, so you're working up or down, a step or a skip. I think these are all steps and skips. Yep. So it's the old thing about stepping one note or skipping over to the next one. And the more practice you can get at stepping and skipping on notes, the better. Again, you can practice it with scales. La 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 la. You can practice with arpeggios. La 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 la. That kind of thing. Just throw in random arpeggios occasionally, sing along to them, see if you can get the right note. Sing before you play. What about B flat? La 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 la. There you go. La 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 la. That arpeggio, for example. So you're anticipating what note's next, and you're singing ahead. Yeah. Okie dokie. What else have we got? Spotting changes. So we've covered the clapping and a bit of singing. Spotting the changes in grade 3 or in grade 4 and 5, listening for the dynamics, which kind of ties into this one at the bottom here, listening closely. Okay, so these two are kind of connected because it's involving these and this. Okay, listening to the music and can you tell what changed? Can you tell what's different? We'll have an example from grade 3, and we'll have one from grade 4, and then one from grade 5 as well. So there'll be a change here, either pitch or rhythm. What is it? And with the change, sounds like I changed two things there. All right, let's try that again. So first one, and with the change, hopefully you hear it that time, yeah. At the end, there's a change of pitch. Instead of going la 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 la, it goes la 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 la. So there's a change of a pitch there. I guess what you're doing with this challenge is listening to the first one, storing it in your memory, and then when you hear the second one, oh, spot the difference. What was different about that one? Did it go higher or lower, or did it change in the rhythm? Here's another example. It helps if I play them right. Anyway, here's a change. So it had a change of rhythm at the end. It went a bit longer then shorter. Okay, these things are kind of tricky to hear sometimes, but if you listen closely, you'll often just pick up on, oh yeah, there was a difference there. And that's what it was. Let's have a wee grade 4 one. Okay. It'll be more like dynamic changes, tempo changes, major and minor key, major, minor, if you could spot the difference. For example, versus, can you tell the difference? Hopefully you can. This one. was G major and then minor. Anyway, here's an example of a piece. Oh, okay. So what were the dynamic changes in the piece? Could you hear the difference? Quite soft at the start. In the middle it went boom, ba 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 bum, got louder. And then at the end it faded back down again. I have to admit, when I played different speeds. I'm meant to be at the same speed all the time, but anyway. Was it major or minor? Could you tell by listening to that? Sounded a little bit melancholy to me. Yeah, it was a minor key. I'm just checking. Yes, it was minor. Yeah. And then what gives it its character? So you've got a minor key sound, fairly slow, fairly quiet at the start, but with variations in the dynamics, changes in the volume, gets louder, and then it gets softer again. So you have harmony in there. It's clearly not a Baroque piece. I don't know if they're asking me that at this point, I think. It's a bit more romantic sounding, I suppose. Yeah, they're not asking you about period of music, but it is kind of in that zone. Smooth, slow tempo, minor key, sad, melancholic, all that kind of stuff. So you're looking to encapsulate the music in as few words as you can, or maybe as many words as you can. I don't know. Try and get a hold of the music and communicate it in words. It's tricky to do that, but here's another example from grade 5. Listen closely, see if you can pick up on what the volume's doing, what the tempo's doing, and what gives it its character. And is it going to be really old music or really new music, this one? Okay, let's have a go. That was challenging to play. I should have really picked one that I knew. Anyway, what's the dynamics like? What do you think? Pretty loud? Very loud at the start, and it faded away, and it got loud again. Did the tempo change, or was it always the same? Hopefully it was always the same. It was meant to be all the same. Hopefully that came across. What gives it its character? So staccato playing, chords, quite broad chords, and sometimes a smooth melody on the top, a little bit of ornamentation here and there, jumping about with chords, dramatic changes of volume at some parts. Is it Baroque, classical, or 20th century? It's not Baroque because it's got too much notes at once. Is it classical? There are probably too many abrupt changes in it for it to be classical. The pitch, the volume, the chord shapes, and the harmonies that are in those chords are too abrupt to be classical, I was thinking, yeah. Which pushes you towards 20th century. Since they've only given you those 3 examples. Romantic would have been a harder one to tell the difference between romantic and 20th century, but you're listening out for those modern sounds, like, I don't know if I managed to do that. So, quite dramatic and sometimes chromatic as well in the changes. So, wow, there's a lot in there. But in terms of examples and further practice, have a listen to the videos that I've already got up for grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, and we've added 6 and 7 now recently. So there's plenty of practice there for you to try something out, listen back and hear, what was that note again? What changed there? And just get familiar with how you would identify what happens in the music. Okay. So we're just going to get wrapping up here, unless anybody that's watching has any comments. I don't know. There's not many people online at the moment, so it's fine. But you can watch this back, and if you have comments after the fact, just send me a message. So we covered briefly clapping, rhythms, singing along or singing a melody back again, looking for changes in music, and also listening to pieces to tell what's going on with the music, really, I suppose. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. Now, I had left tomorrow as an open choice, so if anybody wants to have a say in what that subject's going to be, please do get in touch. Otherwise, I'll just make one up myself, okay? I'll just pick based on the general consensus. I think most people seem to be voting for listening oral. We might even go up to grade 6 and 7. I can do with more practice. I don't know about you. But anyway, thanks for watching today, and we'll say sayonara. Bye for now.